Welcome back. What's our topic one more time?
Sticky situation.
All right, and the sticky situation in baseball.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another edition of the Mental Dimes podcast. I am your host, Chuck, along with my buddies. No, I don't want to call you guys that. That sucked. What do I call you guys? What should we call each other? Pals?
Colleagues.
Colleagues. That's good. That's sharp. That's a good one. All right. Start it up again. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another edition of the Mental Dimes podcast. I'm your host, Charles Montgomery, along with my co-host, my colleagues, the coach, and Phil. This week, we are talking about the continuing sticky situation in baseball, and we each give our thoughts, overall reactions to the continued issue with the sport, and stick around and find out. So, fellas, this week, sticky situation. It's in the name. That's what we're going to talk about. It's the suspensions that will be given down to players if they are found to be using substances that enhance their ability to throw a baseball. And I don't know a lot about this topic because I don't focus on baseball that much. But Phil, Mr. Baseball Extraordinaire in this group, he knows a whole lot. Coach knows a good bit as well. But, of course, our expertise is limited to the hardwood, of course, basketball. So we're both kind of in a depressed state right now because our sport isn't happening. But Phil, give us the 411, give us the rundown like we're a 101 class in college, and we need to know what's going on, what this is about.
Okay, well, first of all, you guys got to know that people have been doctoring the baseball for a long time in different ways. It started by guys using simple sunscreen. That's one of the things. Using rosin, you put a little more rosin, some pine tar, just some little things like that. And now they've went to start using a very sticky substance that some people are referring to as glue. Some people are saying they're making it themselves, which is pretty interesting. I'd like to see some of these pictures, coming up with their chemistry to make their own sticky substance. But pretty much these guys are using a sticky substance, glue as some people are calling it, to increase their ability to hang on to the ball longer. So if it hangs on to if it's in their hand longer, they have more control of the ball and they're able to throw 100%, we'll say. More times with more, they know where it's going better.
So
and the ball is spinning faster.
So would you say if you don't have this substance and you aren't able to doctor the baseball, and you said it's 100% with this substance, the control is 100%. So what would you say is the normal control when they're not allowed to add substance to the ball, in your opinion?
It's pretty much making those guys that are really good even better. And the guys that are considered average, it's making them better.
So overall, it just improves the field.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Because if you're holding on to the ball longer, say when you're throwing a curveball, are you going to get, is it a later break in the curve to where it just almost becomes impossible to hit?
Yes, it makes the fastball and the curveball look more alike. So that's what these hitters are looking for. They're looking for the rotation of the ball.
You got to find that spin.
Yeah,
you see the spin, you ain't got much time. And when you see the spin, normally you're thinking, hey, that ball's about to drop like a curveball. And so now, for the layman term, Chuck, you have no idea what is about to happen. You don't know if it's going up, down, left, right. You might be coming at your face. It's coming at you so fast. You don't have no time for it.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so now I know. Now I know what all this means. I could go out there right now and join MLB Network and just go to town on this whole situation. This is great. So all it really means, like you just said, Coach, and you made me feel dumb, but hey, have at it, I guess, is it's just find the seams, know how they're going, how it's rolling towards you, and you can figure it out what it is, what's coming at you, curveball, fastball, whatever it is. And what you're saying, Phil, is with the substance, if you put the substance on the baseball, it makes a curveball and a fastball look basically identical, which then is impossible to finally figure out what to hit.
Yeah, you have what is it, 0.04 seconds to decide? Is that what it is, Zach?
It's something like that. It ain't a blink of an eye.
Yeah, within a blink of an eye, you're having to decide, and it looks the same. So those guys that are real good make it look pretty close to the same already. So, your guys like Garrett Cole, who's in the middle of all this, his ball is looking even more the same. So guys are truly just guessing at the plate what's coming.
Okay, so now since you go with this, we've not had a no-hitter since they came out with the suspensions that go with it. It's 10 days, right? That they're suspended, or is it 10 games? It's 10 games.
10
It's
games.
just 10 games.
10
For a
games.
pitcher, if you're a starting pitcher, just to be clear, that's only 2 appearances. So 10 games is such a awful account it's different from being a hitter and a pitcher.
I agree.
Starting pitcher, 2 games, you're out, even though it's a 10-game suspension. But it is a 10 game. That's what they came out with.
So if it's your choice, when you want to do that, if we'll get to each of our opinions on this matter, but Coach, you make that as simple as you can understand it. With a pitcher doesn't pitch every day. I think most people that are avid baseball fans would know that. Hopefully, I hope. But if you look at it like that, and he's only missing maybe 2 starts, what would your suspension length be if it was your choice to make?
With everything going down, and Phil, he can account for it since he played a little college baseball back in his day. Hitters do not have an advantage. For across all the boards, everybody talks about hitters. If you succeed 3 out of 10 times, if you succeed 30% of the time, you are really good. I mean, that's all we talk about across. That's why it's crazy about baseball. Well, now you're coming through, and the pitchers already have the advantage. So now you're going from a person that had a 70% advantage to now their advantage is out the roof because you have no idea what's happening. To me, I 100% believe this should be treated the same as if somebody is juicing up with steroids. Punishment should be exactly the same. There's no difference in what they're doing.
Which would have killed. I think the last time I remember steroids.
1 year ban.
Like a year, was it? Okay.
1 year ban. 1 year ban first count. Second account, I believe it's
5.
You're done.
5. Yep.
Oh.
Is it 5 or you're done?
I think maybe you're done.
5 years is
Yeah.
basically done, honestly.
Well, yeah, that is very true.
Sports. But okay, so let me get your opinions now on the matter with it all. We've had 6 no-hitters, okay, for one. It's been a pitching dominated league since the beginning, and we're into June now. So now you haven't had a no-hitter since this came out about the suspensions. So now when you go back and you look at these no-hitters, is there a chance that you think that, okay, at least maybe 3 of them or 4 of them happened because of the substance use or just something was doctored about the baseballs? Phil, you're the expert on this, so let's hear it first from you.
I think it's been going on for a long time, but it's just gotten worse. So they started doing something and they started testing the limits. Well, I can go further with this and I can go further with this. And now it's to the point where everybody in baseball knows it's happening. Everybody, those guys in the dugout on both sides know that. I mean, they're saying that 80 to 90% of the guys in the major leagues right now are using some form of sticky stuff. That's coming from some major league players. 80 to 90% are using some form of it.
So why don't we just tell the hitters to just get better? Honestly, if it's 80, 90% of the league, just let it happen now. I mean, the 6 no-hitters have gotten everybody interested in baseball before June, and that's a pretty good thing to do. I mean, don't look at me like that, Coach. You're kind of looking at me wild-eyed here. It's a good point.
You are exactly right. It is a great point. But the sad reality is even though 80 to 90% of these guys use it, you could be juicing up with steroids and there's no way a hitter could gain an advantage over it. That's the problem. If hitters could hit, if you pumped them up with steroids and you could hit off of it, that's one thing. But even when you took steroids, you still had to hit the ball. I mean, that's what I feel like a lot of people, non-casual fans don't understand. Yeah, they were pumped up, but they still had to hit the thing. I mean, it ain't easy.
That's why I don't think what McGuire and Sosa did is that bad. You still have to hit the baseball, and it's not easy to hit a baseball. It doesn't matter what's happening. If you are taking steroids, like you said, you still got to hit a baseball, and that's not easy.
It ain't easy at all.
I mean, we think a good hitter is a guy that hits the ball 3 out of 10 appearances at the plate. And if you're shooting 3 out of 10 in basketball, you're getting benched. If you're catching 3 out of 10 passes that are thrown to you, you're getting benched. If you're completing 3 out of 10 passes as a quarterback, you're getting benched, and people are starting to look the other way. And so now we have this idea that 30%, 300 average is great in baseball. And that's why I think if the guy's juicing up, have at it. You still got to hit the baseball. It doesn't mean that you're able to hit the baseball any better. It's just you can hit it farther when you do get the contact.
I agree. That's the issue I have with these people coming out. And I'm not picking on you, Chuck, but that's the comment some guys are having is just legalize it. everybody does it. I mean, it's so hard to catch. I mean, you about have to. But that's what sucks is that you're taking away from the game. And even though I don't always like to see 10-9 baseball games, I do like to see some runs every now and then.
It's more fun. I mean, I'm not sitting there. I can't watch baseball on television. I can go to a game and watch a baseball game. That's fun. It's just the atmosphere you're in. We've all been to a couple Trash Pandas games. I know Coach has frequented it twice, and I've been there at the same game and didn't know until I got home that he was there. And he just decided not to tell me. But
shout out to Jay Bell and the Trash Pandas. Keep it up, Coach.
How are they doing? I don't even know how they're doing.
We're on a 3-game win streak.
We're on a 3-game win streak. Did you say
me and Coach Bell? We talked a little bit about the lineup stuff. I think Jay he's doing a terrific job. He's doing a good job.
We can get him on here.
I was gonna say, if you're on a first name basis with the coach, I think you make the move to get the manager on here.
I'll run it by him, and he's busy. They play baseball about every day, so
okay.
We'll see what we can do.
3 hours out of the day, he's got time to sit down on a podcast for 15 minutes and talk to us knuckleheads. Come on.
Yeah. We'll see what we can do.
All right. Well, we'll hold you to it. So that's a developing story now, everybody. So alertal.com, they're going to run a story about this tomorrow, and everybody's going to find out that we are going to get him on here. They're the hottest team in baseball because everybody loves our mascot, and you can't go against it. So have at it. Coach, work your magic. You've done it before on many occasions coaching teams. Do it again. I mean, come on, get it together.
I'll give you a $1 bill if you can tell me the mascot's name.
Sprocket.
Oh,
I voted
nice.
for it. Sprocket is the best name there was. Come on.
All right.
All right, well, back to the topic at hand. So, Phil, I was hoping you had some stats to throw at us here, batting average, strikeout rate, whatever it is. You got to have some stats for us.
It's historic lowest overall batting average, 236 in the league this year. 236, lowest, by far. So, my problem is when I really remember watching baseball, steroids were in. Guys were doing steroids. Everybody knew it. And I'll be honest, chicks dig the long ball. They do.
Chicks and kids. It's the most important thing when it comes to sports.
That is very true. That is very true.
I mean, I started watching baseball hot and heavy when Sosa and McGuire were going at it, trying to get hit 70-something home runs. One year they had, you got all these guys hitting 40 home runs. That's good for baseball. It is. When they score runs, it's good for baseball, I think.
It gives people a reason to watch the game.
Yeah, we want to see runs scored. You want to see points. I mean, we don't love the college football games. When we talk about them, we think, well, there's no defense. But we still love the 60 to 50 games in college football. We still love the Big 12. Shout out West Virginia. Just got to do that. But I like that point, though, what you made, and it goes back to that is they credit the rebirth of baseball in the 90s to Sosa and McGuire's race for their record, to beat the record because of the strike that happened in 1994. And so now, is this a situation? It's already getting cracked down on now with the pitching, but is this something that, like I said, it's getting you headlines for baseball before June, which I'm sorry, that just doesn't happen anymore, especially this year with the NBA playoffs going on and the NHL playoffs going on. You're not gonna have it when it's going this late year. We're not even to the finals yet for the NBA. And so you're grabbing headlines, and I know it sucks. They're doctoring the baseballs, but if it's being done at the rate that you say, 80 to 90% of the pitchers in the league, let it happen. Just let it happen. It's fun. It's fun. You get the no hitters. We had 2 in a row, and that doesn't happen ever.
When they were using steroids, pitchers were also using steroids. So it's not just the hitters. Roger Clemens, great pitcher, but he was right in the middle of this whole scandal of steroids. He was right in there, the rocket, as they called him. So it was on both sides. Now it's just kind of a one-sided thing to my point.
It's a very, very good point. Very good point.
Maybe you're going to let the hitters start corking their bats. If they get to doctor the ball, can we cork the bats to make it fair?
But even that still, to me, doesn't give them a fair advantage because you still got to hit it.
Ball, you still have to hit the ball.
You still got to hit it. That's
the whole point
of it. Make the ball bigger.
Well, and if they did come out with that with the hitter, trying to even up the playing field for the hitter would get 10 times more crap thrown on them than the pitchers do with this. And it's like, well, they can't cork the bat. Come on, you can't do this. And it's like, well, I mean, I'm sorry, but they're trying to have a chance to hit the ball, which is the whole point to score in baseball. I'm sorry, you have to hit the baseball. And if it's going to happen, they have to get an advantage. But obviously, the MLB doesn't want to move in the direction that we're suggesting, even though it's a terrific suggestion. That's why I bring on the manager of the Trash Pandas, Jay Bell. Is that what you said? Is that his name?
That is his name.
Jay Bell. You
Hall
bring
of
him on
Famer.
here.
Hall of Famer.
We throw it his way. He moves up the ladder, gets it to the AAA team. Then he gets it to the Angels. Joe Madden handles it. Everybody loves Joe Madden. And there you go. And then
I would love to have Joe Madden on here.
now that would be excellent. We just move our way up. That'd be perfect.
He could be in his camper. Hey, so Joe Madden lives in a camper during spring training?
I did know
Seriously.
that.
Yeah.
That's
Lives in a camper at the stadium during spring training.
That's cool. That is actually pretty cool. But if you obviously they're not going to move in the direction that we say because it's completely outlandish and they want to go by the rules of the game. And so you have to respect that, but then you also have to look at it. How long has this been happening to where it's building to this? Because it wasn't 80 to 90% of pitchers when this started coming around. And so now it's like, okay, have you guys been putting it off for 3, 4, 5 years? And the longer you've put it off and at least just been a little bit more quieter about it, has it allowed pitchers to get confidence and say, oh, well, if Garrett Cole's not getting caught for it, I'm going to have at it and do it now. And you have that situation.
Phil will be able to express more, but I want to say maybe 3 or 4-ish years ago, they came out with a program to where spin rate was such a higher priority. That's what they looked at more. People studied it more. You probably know the name of the specific program.
These guys are they're throwing bullpens and watching the spin rate on every pitch and trying to figure out how they can improve the spin rate on each and every pitch they throw. I mean, that's what these guys are looking at in their bullpens now. They're not just going out there and saying, oh, yeah, that pitch looked good. Oh, yeah, that looked good. No, they're using technology. Technology is real big in baseball right now, and they're seeing how much and how fast and how much every pitch is moving and how much it's moving and which direction's moving it. And if I hold it a centimeter this way, does it move more? Does it move less? Or I hold it a centimeter this way, and they're using those little bitty things to figure out how they can get better.
And you don't think that when it happens that, oh, they get to analyze, because we see in football, they go and they sit down those tablets and we get to see Aaron Rodgers chuck his tablet 15 yards down the sideline, or Tom Brady get in an argument with Josh McDaniels when he was with the Patriots and chuck the tablet at his head. But you don't realize how much, and it just goes into the analytic side of it all. And what you're saying like that, it could take such a small part of touching the baseball and holding it a certain way that it just changes the whole delivery of the pitch. And it's remarkable if you think about it.
What's crazy though, the reason I feel like personally that it's spreading though, we're talking about, I mean, and 80-90%, that's a lot of people, but that could not be more realistic. I mean, that I would say, maybe more than 90% of guys are doing this stuff. But what's sad is, so take the Trash Pandas, for example, a AA minor league baseball team. They have a guy that is tracking spin rate for every single pitch, like every pitch, home and away. So if you're in the minor leagues not making jack squat, in your mind, the only way you're going to get up there is if you can increase your spin rate. Well, the only way you're going to compete with the spin rates with the guys in the pros is you're going to have to put some sticky stuff on there. And so, and that's just the reality of it. I mean, if cheating is the only way you're going to get up there and you're only making, a corn dog and a hot dog every game, you have to. I mean, it's either, cheat, go home. I mean, if that's your only option, that's why it's spreading, and it sucks.
Did y'all see the guy from St. Louis the other day where they just all they did was take his hat? Did anybody else see that?
No.
They did something like that, and then I saw the bullpen guys all went and changed their gloves.
The guy for St. Louis, they thought he had a suspicious substance on his hat. And the coach came out there. The coach gets thrown out. And all they did was make the pitcher change his hat because they thought he had a substance on his hat.
Well, what is this stuff? Do we know what this stuff looks like? Because pine tar. You know what pine tar is. You can see that from a mile away. What?
You see the guy from the Yankees a couple years ago had the pine tar on his neck.
Yeah, it wasn't. Was it It wasn't Chapman. No, I can't. I can't remember.
Nova, maybe.
Sabathia.
No.
Was it Edwin Jackson?
Nah, I don't remember. But they had the big pine tar on his neck, and
I
he kept
remember that.
wiping his neck.
And it was obvious. You could see it from TV. You could see it from a while. You could see it. It was so easy. But what does anyone do? Have they said what this stuff looks like, or is it just unknown?
It must be clear.
It
It's
has
gotta
to
be.
be. If it's so hard to
So-
tell.
I mean, they're hiding it on. I mean, they're saying they're hiding in different places. Some guys in their gloves, some guys in their hats, some guys on their belts, some guys, these relievers just putting on their hands and running out to the bullpen or running out from the bullpen and hoping they have a quick inning and then go in the dugout and take it off, apparently.
Well,
There
maybe we
was
could-
the Angels hired a guy. This was in the Sports Illustrated article. The Angels hired a guy, and all his job was to be a chemist and to mix substances and see what works best and what doesn't without being detected. If you're hiring a chemist on your team, and this is against the rules, steroids wasn't against the rules back in the 90s. It is against the rules to doctor the baseball, but yet everybody's just turning the blind eye. That just blows my mind.
Is that
Well, I
the
think we
same
should-
guy that the Astros hired to steal signs?
Yes,
Is that-
yes, same guy.
Well, that guy's found a
Quality.
whole new profession in baseball, and hats off to him.
I agree.
Let him have at it.
If I could have done it, I would have gone for it too.
Well, I think we can try and get a little bit of insight. I did have that clip pulled up from Garrett Cole with his press conference from the other day. Let's just listen. I'd like for you to, neither one of you have seen the clip of what he's talking about. I want to get your reactions to it because it's interesting, his answer.
I don't know. I don't know if I don't quite know how to answer that, to be honest. I mean, there are customs and practices that have been passed down from older players to younger players, from the last generation of players to this generation of players, and I think there are some things that are certainly out of bounds in that regard, and I've stood pretty firm in terms of that, in terms of the communication between our peers and whatnot. And I, again, like I mentioned earlier, there's, this is important to a lot of people that love the game, and this is including the players in this room, including fans, including teams. And so if MLB wants to legislate some more stuff, that's a conversation that we can have, because ultimately we should all be pulling in the same direction on this.
What a great answer. What a great young man. He really has got it straightened out, apparently.
Could you be more guilty?
Yeah, seriously.
Could
And
you-
that
could you-
wasn't an issue with loading. It was, I don't know, pause. I don't know, another really long pause. And then let me just go into this complete crap of a answer.
For those that don't know, the reason Garrett Cole is kind of the face, I mean, obviously, Phil, would you say he arguably the best pitcher in majors right now?
He's definitely getting paid the most.
He's definitely the highest paid, but his success is, I mean, you can't argue with it. He's arguably the best pitchers in majors. When the 10-game suspension was announced, if you got caught, he gave up 5 runs in his outing. He had only given up 5 runs in the outing in the last 3 years. Huh? Come on now.
I
Come
think
on
you lay
now.
off of him. Hey, let it go.
Come on
Let
now.
it go. He plays for
don't
the
just-
Yankees. He must be a stand-up guy. Come on.
Yeah.
And he was
Uh-huh.
pitching for the oh no, he was pitching for the Pirates. Never mind. Never mind.
he was in the Astros before that.
He was with the Astros. Okay, I was gonna say that, but then I didn't think he was. But no, he was with the Astros.
So
Yeah,
he was
then he
part of
got-
stealing signs.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly. He's a stand-up guy. I mean, they found
Yeah.
a loophole and they exploited it.
There's a winner.
Yeah, that is a champion franchise right there. But
To me, what he was referring to that was passed down were the unwritten rules of baseball. So, Chuck, you may not know this, but there's a lot of unwritten rules in baseball.
I know one thing. Fernando Tatis breaks them apparently every game.
Yeah.
That's what I always see. Is poor Fernando Tatis.
And Zach knows this. I've told the story. My first ever Major League Baseball game I went to, it was Atlanta Braves versus the Colorado Rockies in Turner Field, and Andres Galarraga charged the mound because he said that they hit him on purpose the game before, and if they did it again, he was going after the mound. And if you've ever seen Andres Galarraga, he was one of the biggest guys in baseball at the time. if you haven't seen him, Chuck, and you look him up, the big cat, big fella.
Hey, you don't get called a big cat if you're not big.
But baseball has a lot of unwritten rules. If you pimp a home run, your next at bat, you should get hit. I believe that. I mean, it's just part of the game. And I think that's what he's referring to is maybe that in these unwritten rules, that some form of this has been going on the whole time. I mean, the rosin on the rosin bag, that's legal. But, what about some sunscreen, a little pine tar? I mean, we all know the baseball bat, when the pine tar was too high, we've all seen that clip. And so, maybe he's referring to that this has been going on for a long, long time, that people have just got braver with it. And I think maybe this time they took it a little too far.
Well, I think that's exactly what we've been hitting at. And I think that's true. I think it's a very good point because there's no way, if that percentage is correct, there's no way it's been 90% of pitchers have been doing it for 10 years. This has just continuously grown. And he said it's been passed down. Well, they've passed down whatever. He didn't specify, obviously, with that incredible answer. But it goes towards, you get a guy up, like you said, Coach, that a AA kid realizes, well, for me to get called up to AAA or the majors, I have to get a whole lot better if I'm going to even be close to touching the rotation. And if I can't even get close to touching the rotation without using something, as in this sticky stuff, then why not learn how to use it and do it effectively and do it without getting caught? Then, hey, it shortens my span in the minors. And here I go, I'm up in the majors because I'm showing what I have, but I am using something to doctor the baseball. And so you have to understand that if you look at it from this, it's like, well, wow, this is just popped up. It's like, no, I don't think it has. I think this has been around and it's just getting a little too out of control, along with steroids. That's how steroids happened. It just got out of control. It wasn't just 1 year. It was a long time. And old baseball players will come out all the time and say, oh yeah, I took steroids. There were guys shooting needles in their, in their legs and their butt, and just, before a game, they know, so nonchalant about it. They didn't care. And because it just wasn't a part of the rules, you didn't have to follow it. And so that's what's happening with this, I think.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think steroids can be used for the right reasons. Heal you from an injury, bring you back from an injury sooner. And I feel like, and I'm not 100% on this because I don't think anybody really knows, but when steroids got started, they were probably in a veteran player's hands. Hey, put this on your knee, you're going to be able to play in a week. Hey, all right, you rolled your ankle, let me shoot you up real quick just so you can play. And all of a sudden, people are seeing, well, they're doing this to an injured guy. What can they do in a stud's hands? And now they got into the wrong hands. So the same thing with the sticky stuff. It's just like off Major League. Eddie Williams, the old man, is doing whatever he can do to be valuable to the team. An old veteran player. And that's to me, I think that's how it got started. These older guys got to find some way just to stay in the game. I mean, John Smoltz, for example, needed to stay in the game. He learned how to throw a knuckleball, when he was having that injury, that shoulder surgery. And so all of a sudden, these younger guys who can pump some smoke are like, all right, this works with a veteran guy. What would this do if I get this sticky stuff in the hands of a Rodney Chapman, Garrett Cole? I mean, Clayton Kershaw's name's not been thrown in there, but it's just somebody to that magnitude. And now, all of a sudden, the good guys have it. So now it's putting emphasis on the younger guys and the minor league guys of either, it's just you have to. And so I feel like that's where it came from, or at least that's what I think, in my opinion.
It's just becoming a way of life in baseball. And they just don't want it to happen because they see how unfair it will be and is already. And they know there's no way to combat it for a hitter to level the playing field, because there isn't, unless something happens where they make a magical baseball bat and there you go. But there isn't anything that will level the playing field if this is able to continue. So that's the whole point of it. So I want to get your overall thought, Coach, as we wrap up our discussion on this, just what you see in the future for this. Is it going to ramp up in the suspension length? It's only 10 games right now. You agree? You don't agree with that? So just give me your final overall thoughts on this.
I think at the rate we're going, it's changing the game in a bad way. I think, with a 10-game suspension, you're not going to scare anybody. That's not going to keep guys from using it. it's not worth. I mean, to me, it's worth risking. If I have a chance to get in the league versus sitting out 2 spots in the rotation, that has no effect. I think the only way you're going to clean it up is if you enforce it the same way you enforce steroids. You get caught with it, you're banned. You're out of the league. I mean, or you're out of the league for a year. Then, the second time you get it, lifetime ban. You got to put some kind of punishment in order for it to justify using it. Otherwise, nothing's ever going to change. But I personally think it needs to be treated the same as steroids because it impacts the game more than steroids, I think. I just hope MLB cleans it up because I personally would like to see, Ronald Acuna, what could he do against pitchers not throwing, nasty stuff? I mean, these numbers, we have such phenom players that are not able to produce because of what they're facing.
Phil, let me get your final thoughts as well, sir.
I think the younger fans like to see runs scored. I mean, you got some of these older diehard baseball guys that love a 1-0 ball game. And I do too occasionally. But for the most part, I like a 5 to 7 ball game, like a couple runs, a little excitement. I mean, a 9-inning ball game is a long time. I mean, it's 3 hours. I mean, they're trying to find ways to change baseball. They're talking about, moving the mound back. They're talking about changing the baseball. They've changed the baseball a bunch. They're talking about these robot umpires, which, that's a terrible idea, different topic. But, I think we need some runs in the ball game. I mean, last year in the shortened season where it was real compact, there was some runs scored, and it was good for baseball. I mean, I think we need to get back to the point where it's fair for everybody. It's not fair for hitters right now. And as a hitter, it bothers me that the pitchers have an unfair advantage on top of already being really, really good. They don't need another advantage.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think we all three agree with it. There is no level playing field, which we know it's with money and talent. There isn't ever a clear level playing field in sports, and especially in something as technical as baseball when it comes to how you deliver a pitch and how you hit a pitch. And that's just what this is doing. It just gets it more and more uneven, and then it just gets completely out of hand, which it has clearly, according to the MLB, it has gotten out of hand, and that's why they're trying to get ahead of it. So we don't have something that comes out in 15 years after Garrett Cole and Trevor Bauer and Clayton Kershaw and all these major league pitchers. I'm not saying Kershaw has used it, but you know what I mean. And then it comes out that, oh yeah, they did use this stuff, and that's the only reason why vacate their wins, all this stuff. And so I think they're just trying to get ahead of it. But I think this is a very, very good learning topic. I learned a whole lot. I did not know any about this, so I think this was a very good topic to choose. But
I do want to make one final quote because I feel like somebody who's listening is going to feel like this is hogwash at the lower levels. And Phil can chime in if he may have some friends that want to remain anonymous back from his heydays. I have a friend, when I was talking about this podcast, played community baseball, community college baseball. The trainer for a community college baseball team supplied them with a special sunscreen, said, put the rosin bag on the sunscreen and put on your arm. He told me he tried it at practice because the trainer brought it to him. He said it was no joke. He said the ball was so sticky, they couldn't even throw it. It stuck in his hand too long. It was just that, but that's happening at the community college level, 90% or more major league levels.
it's ridiculous. It's completely. I never played baseball. I didn't have the talent to play baseball. Couldn't hit a ball to save my life because of the sticky substance. There you go. That's why I struck out 3 times. There you go. Answers the whole lifelong question I've ever had. But I think it will get out of hand if they don't stop it now. And so they're taking the necessary precautions. And I think it's good. And I think overall it's going to make the game better. And we're not going to get these great no hitters day after day. But I think we're all kind of starting the discussion of how special is a no hitter anymore if it's starting to happen at this rate. And so
am I the only one that thinks that punishment should be that severe?
Oh yeah, I agree.
Okay.
If it makes that much of a difference, then I think it should be more severe. I think it should be easily. I think 10 games is ridiculous, especially when you break it down as in they're probably missing 2 starts, and that's nothing. Who cares?
Are we not going to let these guys in the Hall of Fame because they're using a sticky substance?
I mean, I
Okay, never
personally.
mind. Phil broke it. I'm with Phil. Never mind. You're on your own, coach.
You don't get into the Hall of Fame because you use steroids. So maybe you don't get in because you use the sticky substance.
I feel like the guys using steroids should be allowed. I mean, I'm not against keeping them out. I mean, just so we're clear.
I mean, Sosa hit the ball a long ways using steroids, corking his bat, holding the American flag, running around the stadium. He was great for baseball.
He brought it back. He did bring it back. Him and McGuire brought it back. So I think you have to cut them some slack. Giambi, I could care less, but Sosa and McGuire, let them have it. So I think I agree with that. But that is it for this episode. I think, as I was saying, I think this was a great topic. I learned a lot. This is going to be interesting to see how this develops, because this is not an issue that has already been solved. It will continue to arise. They might lengthen the suspensions. It might become more severe. They might change their minds. They might completely change their minds and go backwards on this. We don't know. It's baseball. It's Rob Manfred, and we all know how everybody feels about the commissioner. So it's a developing situation that we'll definitely keep an eye on while we have the time. And I think this is a very good topic, and I enjoyed the discussion that we had tonight.
Tune in next week, and we're going to talk about
college football playoffs. And that whole thing with people hating it to go to 12 for some stupid reason, but I'm not going to get into that.
Maybe the Orangemen can finally get in the playoffs now that there's room.
Okay, we're going to end it now. We're going to end it now. End it now. But I think this is an exceptional podcast episode. We will be back next week to talk about college football, and that is the coach. That is Phil. I am Chuck. We'll see you next time.